welcome to day 5 of my AO Year 6 testing. So this is the first book I will be telling you about. It's called Wrong Way Jonah, written by Kay Arthur, Jana Arndt, and Scotty Domege. So this book is an inductive Bible study book. Inductive Bible study is a way of studying the Bible where you read through the scripture, you mark all the keywords, so God, Jonah, commanded, prayed. Those words you would mark with a certain color, you would circle them, you would color them in, you would draw a shape on them. That helps you study it and see what the important parts of the text are. So, another important part of it is asking the 5 W's and the H. What, where, why, when. What, where, why, when, and how. So, first question. Why am I reading this book? How does it fit in with all of my other books? It tells about how God works in people's lives. What were the main points and ideas? Well, in Jonah, the book of Jonah, God tells Jonah to go minister to a nation and tell them that in 40 days they will be overthrown. Jonah runs away, gets thrown into the ocean, a giant fish swallows him, and then he gets vomited up on land and goes and tells the nation, and then when God decides to save the nation, he gets all grumpy because the nation was so bad and he didn't want them to be saved. And God's final words in the book are, the final words in the book are, if you were merciful to a plant that was giving you shade, why should I not be merciful to 500,000 people and their animals? What did I like or dislike? Well, I like inductive Bible study because it really helps you get deep into the text, and these books are nice because they're written for kids, so they explain some of the different wordings in the Bible, and they make it fun, and there's kind of in this one there's news, so we have to kind of make this little newspaper for each chapter and fill in the text and draw the pictures and fill in the holes and draw the weather page. That's kind of fun. So, would I recommend this book to a friend? Yes, it's a great way to study your favorite books in the Bible. The next book I will be telling you about is called Albert Einstein and the Theory of Relativity by Robert Swick. And that's all one word. Swicklick. Okay, I don't know how you say that. So, first question, why am I reading this book? How does it fit in with all of my other books? Well, Einstein grew up and lived during World War II, and that's what I studied about in my first term of school. It's also beginning physics, which is what I'm kind of the theme in my sciences this year is beginning physics and science and chemistry, all that good stuff. What were the main points and ideas? So this is a lot like Archimedes and Galileo. It's a biography of Albert Einstein, and it's the main kind of part of it is it's a biography, but along the way it explains all of his theories and the papers that he wrote and what he wrote in them. The most important being the theory of relativity and E equals mc squared. The formula E equals mc squared is kind of a hard concept to grasp, but I will try to explain it. So in the formula, E is energy, M is mass, C is the speed of light, and then squared is multiplying the speed of light by itself. So what Einstein is saying is that energy and mass are two different concepts of the same thing. That, for instance, all energy is mass and all mass is energy. So if you take a hot potato, it has more energy. It has more energy in it than a cold potato. So it would have more mass, more weight than a cold potato. But the difference in a small, regular baked potato would be so small that you couldn't tell on a scale. The only way you could really be able to tell is if you were measuring the mass of something that is moving at the speed of light. So if a rocket's going at the speed of light and you somehow magically weigh the rocket as it's moving, it's going to have all the energy from that's having to be generated by the rocket moving will significantly make the rocket weigh more. So what did I like or dislike about the book? Albert Einstein is really interesting. He's funny, he's humorous. For instance, one time his sister was a vegetarian, but her craving, she loved hot dogs. Of all things that she just loved hot dogs. But she felt really bad about eating animals. So he said, Maria, in your case, I think that a hot dog would be considered a vegetable. Yeah, so I liked and disliked. Albert Einstein is really interesting, and there's not really anything I disliked. Would I recommend this book to a friend? Yes, it's great. This is the next book I will be telling you about. It is called Genesis: Finding Our Roots by Ruth B. Chick. First question, why am I reading this book? How does it fit in with all of my other books? Well, Genesis is the first book in the Bible, and it tells about who created mankind and how we were created and what we were created to do. So that fits in with everything, and it's very important that we understand exactly. What are the main points and ideas? Genesis is interesting. So the main idea that's presented in this book is that the whole book of Genesis was not, as common belief is, written by Moses. That Genesis was written by different people, or the first part was written by God, but was written by different people over time, people who were eyewitnesses to the stories that they tell. So the first part of the book is called in the book God's Book of Creation, and it's chapters 1 through 2, pretty much. So, and then it has scripture study where you read and you mark and you memorize a verse, and it has the topic studies, which are very interesting and take up most of the room in the book, and they add on to what is told in scripture. So for instance, the first one is one on dragons. So it says that in verse 121 it says, and God created great whales, is the translation that we have, but the word for whales in Hebrew is tanyin, and it actually means dragons. But the King James translators most likely translated it as great whales because that was the largest real creature they had back then, and that is what they thought was the word. And so things like that, a lot of things on language, origin of the week, are all the topic studies. And then there's all these beautiful pictures. I love the stained glass pictures. Those are my favorites. It's pretty. So what did I like or dislike? This book is very interesting. It tells a lot of interesting facts. It presents a lot of theories that I've never heard before. I didn't like, in the book, a lot of the times it presented a lot of ideas like that the dinosaurs, common belief is that the dinosaurs were killed out mostly at the flood, that the few that were taken on the ark died really quickly. And in this book it presents the idea that dinosaurs lived on and just died out and possibly lived through the Middle Ages. And of course the ideas of that the Genesis wasn't written by Moses, but those are theories and we can't actually prove any of that yet, and probably won't be able to prove it till Jesus comes back. And I didn't like how the book presented these theories as being true, and just the book said, okay, this is how it is. Either you believe me or you're wrong. That's kind of the impression I got. I don't know. That's what I thought anyways. Would I recommend this book to a friend? Yes, it's not the kind of book that's going to keep you on the edge of your seat, but it's interesting. Oh, you want to see the card I did for Hobbit? Look. It's my card. A whole lot of hearts. This is a book I had to do for school. I don't think it's on the AO curriculum, but my mother wanted me to do some extra geography. So this is what we did. It's called Draw Africa. It's written by Kristen J. Drager. So this book is interesting. It's an art book, and the lady, basically, on each page there's a step-by-step guideline of what to draw, and it shows you all the different shapes that she kind of, because obviously the shapes of Africa are not this perfect. They're not. If you look at an actual map, they're very shaky, but she simplifies them to straight lines and teaches you where the curves go, step by step, where they start and where they end. So that way, and then what I usually do is I draw them and I don't label them, and then I have to close the book and go back and label them, so it helps me remember all of their names. So this is a drawing that I did of Africa once I was done. It's kind of messy. At the end you're supposed to like Sharpie all the lines and color it in, but I didn't have time, and that's technically not really necessary. But that's my gorgeous map of Africa. I'm actually really proud that I learned all of these names. I think there's like 65 countries in this. I don't know. There's a lot. But it's a really good book if you want to do some extra geography and learn how to draw Africa. The last book I will be telling you about today is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm sure most of you have heard of this book. Hopefully all of you have read it because this book is amazing. So first question, why am I reading this book? How does it fit in with all of my other books? Historically, it doesn't really, but it's very important literature. It's a very famous book and it's extremely good. What were the main points and ideas? So The Hobbit is a book about a hobbit, which is a little creature who's shorter than a dwarf. He's extremely short and is like a human except for he's really short and stocky. So Bilbo is just a regular hobbit. He lives in a hole in the ground. And a wizard comes to him and asks him to go on an adventure. And Bilbo says no. Well, the next day, 12 dwarves show up at his door, knock. When he opens the door, they just walk in as if they were invited, and he has no idea what's happening. And he ends up going on an adventure and getting treasure and meeting a lot of new people. I won't spoil it for you because if you haven't read it, you have to read this book. What did I like or dislike? Oh my gosh, this is the best book. It's just really interesting. It will keep you on the edge of your seat. The chapters are really long, but I like long books. And the illustrations in this particular book are very, very good, and it's just very well written. It's just an amazing book. There's nothing I didn't like. Would I recommend this book to a friend? Everybody has to read this book.